Greetings, folks. Were you the kind of kid that saw the original Cobra Kai and thought, damn, I too wish I could do unpaid manual labor for an older man at questionable hours in a rundown wooden shack, just so I could learn how to do a single kick against a guy and steal his girlfriend? Really, boomers? You gave so much crap to Millennial over those delicious Tide Pods, and that is what you guys were up to? Oh yeah, Timmy, getting the woman of your dream is easy. When I was your age, I just walked up to your mother and was like, yeah, I don't have a nice car, but my heavy gloves are +10, and Quentin Tarantino put me in a time machine so I could beat up Bruce Lee for some reason. Well then, you're lucky, because for only 999 meteorite ore a month, and a pot full of Irish gold, you too can become Timu One Punch Man and join Avalon Hustler University Top G with the added benefit of getting a partner, your left hand or right hand, depending on how you swing. Let's dive into the build. Okay, let's look at our gear. First of all, the main item where everything is built around, the heavy gauntlets from Act 1. With this build, all upgrades needs to be prioritized toward heavy gauntlets. This is how we scale our damage. So, without it, this build will not work. The only downside of heavy gauntlets, which is really not a downside because the developers wanted people to understand that you need to upgrade these gloves to play this build, is that they require 6 points in practicality. Points in practicality do many things, also more importantly, the value of items that you sell. So this is a merchant monk oriented build if you want. Playing in veteran, do not wait Act 3 to upgrade these gloves. You want to have a good chunk of upgrades through the entire progression. In New Game Plus, as we have most of our core stats in order, it's not gonna be as radical. Heavy gauntlets in New Game Plus will already come with a built-in +10, but if you're going in New Game Plus with, for example, a +23 heavy gloves, they're gonna be better than the default heavy gauntlets by a little bit. But I do not advise to go too high, because it's not necessary. Now let's address the elephant in the room. But past, I don't want to play with a shield. Okay, if you don't want to play with a shield, it's fine. Any shield you want, the shield really doesn't matter. We are not here to block that much. However, we have the ability to block projectiles, so that is quite useful against archers in certain fights. But more importantly, the shield will give access to a shield passive, which one of them is an FT damage reduction, increased damage, but more importantly, we can slot in weapon relics, because otherwise we can't if we go without shield. For the rest of the gear, for helmet, I went with Crow. Crow, as well as Fledglings, both come from the Children of Morrigan questline. All you need to do is start that one in Act 1, side with Self, do not betray Self, and play through the end of the game. In alternative, before then, and even after you have other option, in Act 1 you can craft yourself a Revenant helmet if you want. You can get the Twin Dirge Veil in Act 2 by doing the Harpist questline located here. You can, in Act 1, Luther's Mask, or even Hatchling Mask, which is like the first item that you're given with. Or if you want, later on, if you're struggling with crit, you can use Sir Gawain. The only issue with this build is that unless you're like Giga in final setup, staying at max health is not super easy because we will tank a lot of damage. For back item, only 2 recommendations here because we struggle with crit on this build. Winged Cavalier crafted from Act 3. You know this item by now if you saw my builds. It's one of the best back items in the game and can be used on most builds that struggle with crit, mostly melee, because magic and ranged have access to better sources of crit. Before that, you can use Dual Knight for most of the game. Dual Knight will also help with the stamina regeneration. My advice is on this build, try to play around with light and medium armor. Do not go too heavily. We need to dodge stuff, and if we run out of stamina, you will be dead. For chest, my favorite is Lancelot. You can even use most pieces of Lancelot in Act 2. Lancelot is unlocked here. Just need to finish the Act 1 story and do the thing. And just complete the crypt, not really that hard. Sir Gawain is an option. Otherwise, in Act 1, you can even use a Revenant. For pants, we have quite a few options. Crow for critical damage once your crit is good. Before, you will need to use Fledgling. 15% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite good. Try to aim for 80% crit. I like to go for 100, but that is just personal preference. You can use Walker's Warborn instead of Crow. or even Dual Knight Trouser. Dual Knight Trouser come a little early, they come from the second duelist in Act 2. Meanwhile, the Volker Warborner from Act 3. For Amulet, you really have two options here, sadly. Go with Earth of Flame from Act 3. The good thing about Earth of Flame is that it will also come with Volker's Warborn Pants, so once you get this item, you get both. Before Stone Warden crafted from the Blacksmith questline in Act 2, go here, save the boy, and be happy. For rings, only one option, in my opinion, Perilous Orbs, to help us with crit, so we are less reliant on perception. For boots, Crow, to help us with our crit. In alternative to Crow, in case you already satisfy your crit or you don't want to aim for 100% crit, you could go Lancelot, that is also good, and Gawain, well, as usual. Okay, let's look at our stats. I will just allocate them depending on my suggestion for leveling. 6 points in strength, 6 points in practicality, this is the main requirement for heavy gloves, 6 points in endurance, 3 points in perception, 10 strength, 10 endurance, 8 points in dexterity, 15 points in strength, 15 points in endurance. Now with these we can use Lancelot and other items. If you want to go different stats because you want to use different items, I'm mainly going toward our main requirements. Afterward we're gonna pump perception to 8. And like this, you can already use everything. Now, because we already have sources of crit from our gear, we can decide to remove those. That is an option. However, after you meet this requirement, I'm gonna just suggest you get 20 strength. And afterward, pump that endurance. Pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. Pump that endurance as much as possible so that at least when we get damage, we can survive. Because this build is based around evasion. And that evasion is not passive, it needs to be active evasion. So you need to move around, you need to dodge, you need to shift, to be a slime ball rolling on the floor and keep rolling until nothing can touch you. Because otherwise, prepare to eat a lot of food. That would be my advice to you. Okay, let's look at our build. Quickly allocate skill points, assuming that you want to level up as unarmed. The starter, however, is gonna be a little weaker than other builds, because of course it is. Like, we need those heavy gloves. Let's start in strength, max godly physique. Then we go in unarmed, Fist of Fury maxed, 1 point in brawler, 3 points in arrow and hands, then max brawler. Now, go in dexterity. Put 1 point in agility, 1 point in fast reflexes, and temporal sleep. Temporal sleep works like this. It's gonna be the main way that we can keep ourselves alive. You start to sprint in combat, doesn't matter. And then you crouch and time will be slowed for 2 seconds. You can do this repeatedly, use this one to deny enemies attack of opportunities. Then go in practicality. You can go in practicality as soon as you get the heavy gloves, because we are here for 2 reasons. Well, Born in Armor will increase the damage of our gloves because it increases the value, so that is mandatory. 1 point in inner strength, so that our endurance also boosts our melee damage. 1 point in armor skin, best offense maxed. We go in endurance. If you're not using a shield, you don't have to do this. However, well, I would still advise to level up with a shield, but up to you, really. 3 points in counterweight, in disrupting shove. Confidence for damage reduction. 1 point in prepared block, deflecting block, so enemy with arrows are not a threat to us anymore. In perception, max extra lucky, get critical cascade. Put 1 point in spite of quality, rush critical ages, so we have another source of mitigation. Bloodthirst, maxed. If you're playing with a blood ring, put exploitation of affliction, otherwise you will do this later. As soon as you unlock Red Death, 3 points in Plague Warden. As soon as you unlock Red Death in Act 2, do it. You will lose Red Death when you go in New Game Plus until you unlock it again. We go back in Strength, 3 points in Blow the Snake, 2 points in Executioner, 3 points in Increased Vitality, 1 point in Frequent Exercise, 1 point in Game Momentum, back into the fray. We go in Perception, 2 points in Deep Wounds, max go for the eyes, Practicality 3 points for Restoration Affliction. Now, you get Stacking Peril when you equip the Flame Amulet. This is regardless of your level. This one will give us another type of damage, because with this and Bleed they will be bought up on most enemies, so this is guaranteed. Then we go Red Death. We're gonna shop for the Red Death 3, because we take a lot of damage on this build. Crying Pain will help us a lot. Max Whipping Success, max generation with damage, and then all back tier max. Now, We're gonna go in dexterity, quicken strikes, onslaught, ferocity, max respite in cruelty. We go in practicality in healing, 1 point in healthy appetite, 1 point in rejuvenation, 1 point in all mother blessing, unnatural resilience, so we get more health. We max grieve tie enemies. We're gonna put 2 points in swift and fierce. We're gonna finish shopping for the practicality damage over time 3. Armored skin for extra damage. We're gonna take 2 points in determination, 1 point in gaining momentum, and like this the build is completed. You have extra points, you can put them however you want. A small note talking about the one-handed tree. For some reason this changed recently, because when I first played this build in early on, this was not the case. Symmetrical combat works without shield, because for some reason dual wielding unarmed without anything will count as dual wielding. However, there are some bugs related to this. For example, if you were using the Swordsman amulet, and if you equip them, they increase your damage. However, when you load back the save file, or sometimes even when you transition in a different area, your damage is gonna be lowered. So it's almost like those items are not equipped. So this is why I'm not suggesting this. At least this was my experience with the dual wielding tree and unarmed. Alright, now let's look at the location of most items in this build.
Did you hear something?
You smell some. I hope. You're not. Oh, this is. I can. You're well on one. We let. But. Bring. To think that Leon thanked me. It's.
What's that noise? We'll make short work of you. Your road ends here. We'll make short work. You're no match for our band.
Help! But it... Heck, thanks. Oh, you won't get...
What? I'm pleased from now.
And that's it, folks. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing for more gaming content. If you have any doubts or questions, let me know in the comments below and I will try to get back at you as soon as I can. Have fun playing Tainted Grail and I will see you in the next video.